You're not too old for her, but what you're doing is making her feel that you are. That's the real problem. Not your age, not your wrinkles, not your grey hair. What turns her off is the way you carry yourself. The hesitation, the need to impress, the subtle insecurity hiding behind every smile. Let's be honest, there are older men out there dating incredible younger women. Not because they're rich, not because they're pretending to be 25, but because they understand one thing. Energy doesn't lie. You can have the money, the house, the status, but if you show up nervous, apologetic, trying to prove you still have it, you've already lost. This video is not about tricks. It's not about how to manipulate or charm your way into her pants. It's about stopping the things you do often without realizing that make you look weaker, needier, and less masculine. Because here's the truth, women don't hate older men. They're drawn to grounded, unapologetic, self-possessed men. Men who know their value and don't try to explain it. If you're tired of feeling like you're always chasing, always guessing, always wondering what went wrong, this is your wake-up call. We're breaking down 7 unattractive habits that silently sabotage you and how to replace them with power, presence, and clarity. Let's get into it. Number 1, don't worship. Don't worship her. Her. Let's start with the biggest mistake older men make when they talk to younger women, putting her on a pedestal. You meet her. She's younger, attractive, full of energy, maybe a little mysterious. And instantly, without even realizing it, you start treating her like she's rare gold. You lean in too much. You laugh too hard at things that aren't funny. You hold back what you really think because you're afraid she might not like it. That's not connection, that's worship. And women don't want to be wool ripped. Not in the begin. They want to feel you. Take Mike, for example. He's 45, divorced, solid job in architecture, lives in Denver. He's been working on himself for years. Therapy, reading, even Stoic practices. He meets Claire, 29, a yoga teacher he bumps into at a coffee shop. They go out for drinks. The vibe is good at first, but Mike can't stop complimenting her. You're so amazing. You're way out of my league. I can't believe you're even talking to me. Sounds sweet, right? But Claire didn't come home thinking he was charming. She came home thinking that guy doesn't know his own value. Because when you constantly praise her, over-listen and under-peak, you create an imbalance. You're telling her you're the prize, I'm just lucky to be here, and that kills attraction. Now don't get me wrong, admiration has its place, but it has to be mutual. It has to come from a place of grounded presence, not desperation. Women, especially younger women, can feel when a man is in his masculine energy. He doesn't shrink in her presence. He's not afraid to disagree with her. He's not trying to impress. He is impressive because he's rooted. Stoicism teaches us this exact mindset. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And when you meet a beautiful woman, your reaction says everything about you. Do you stay calm? Do you stay in your frame? Or do you start bending yourself to fit her expectations? Mike bent and Claire noticed. That's what older men forget. Your life experience, your wisdom, your calm, those are incredibly attractive to younger women. But the moment you give that away by acting like she's above you, she loses respect. What should Mike have done differently? Simple. He should have seen Claire as an equal. Appreciated her, yes, but also shared his perspective, held his space, been playful, laughed when it was funny, said no when he disagreed. Olds did stories without filtering every word. He should have let her earn his attention, not just receive it by default. Because here's the truth. When you walk into a conversation already, assuming she's faster, pause. Ask yourself, am I worshipping her or am I connecting with her? Because the moment you shift from worship to presence, everything changes. I've seen this. Type it in the comments if you have too. Then get ready because in the next part we're talking about one mistake older men make that instantly kills confidence, how they talk about their age, and it's probably not what you think. Let's keep going. Own your age. Number 2, own your age. Let's talk about that awkward moment. She looks at you across the table, tilts her head and says, "So how old are you?" You pause. You chuckle. You say, "Old enough to know better or worse." You deflect, try to joke, maybe even lie, and just like that something shifts in her eyes. You think you were being clever, but what she felt was discomfort, hesitation, a little crack in your confidence. Here's the thing, When you avoid your age, you're not just dodging a number, you're signaling shame, and shame is the least attractive scent a man can wear. You're not fooling her. She knows you're older. That's not the problem. The problem is when you act like it's something to hide. Women don't lose interest because of your age. They lose interest because you lose ownership of it. When you shrink from your years, when you pretend to be something you're not, you create a gap between your presence and your truth. And women feel that gap instantly. Now let's flip it. Imagine you answer that question with no hesitation, I'm caught away. And then you say nothing, no apology, no attempt to impress, just eye contact and calm. You've just done something powerful. You've told her, this is who I am, I like who I am, you're welcome to join me in this moment or not. That kind of calm self-possession, it's magnetic. The Stoics knew this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be. 1. Dawn 2. Explain yourself. Don't defend yourself, just be. When you own your age, you own your story. You own the scars, the mistakes, the wisdom. You carry years of failure, growth, reinvention, and that carries weight. But only if you hold it like a crown, not like a burden. You can try to hide behind slang and tight jeans. You can pretend you don't really think about age, but she sees through that. She knows when a man is trying to be what he's not. And more importantly, she knows when a man is comfortable in his skin, because comfort creates safety, and safety creates attraction. Your age is not a disadvantage. It's an advantage when you stop treating it like baggage. Don't rush to say, but I still feel young. That's not the flex you think it. She's not looking for a man who feels 25, she's looking for a man who feels solid. She's not comparing you to boys her age. She's comparing you to the idea of a man, one who leads, listens, and knows who the hell he islanded. So next time she asks how old you are, tell her the truth. Say it clearly. Say it once, then leave the silence. Because how you sit in that silence says everything. She might smile. She might challenge you. Let her. She's not testing your number. She's testing your posture. Own your age, and you own the room. I felt that. Type it in the comments if you know what I mean. And get ready, because next we're talking about the trap most older men fall into without even noticing trying to impress her with their wallet. And that move always backfires. Let's keep going. 3. Stop buying attention. Number 3. Stop buying attention. Let's cut through the noise. You're an older guy. You've worked hard, built success. Maybe you're not rich, but you're stable. You've got your own place. Your car's paid off and your savings account doesn't make you sweat. That's great. That's earned. But here's where it goes. Wrong. You star at leading with your wallet instead of your presence. Dinner gets expensive fast. You're buying drinks for her friends, tickets to shows, Uber rides, random gifts she didn't ask for, and you tell yourself, I'm just being generous, but deep down something else is going on. Let's look at James. He's 52, runs a solid plumbing business in Ohio, divorced 5 years ago, no kids, finally, feels like he's in control of his life again. He meets Tasha, 31, at a networking event. She's sharp, funny, got a smile that could stop traffic. They hit it off. Texts turn into dates. But by the third meetup, James is booking a weekend spa trip. She didn't even ask. She's flattered, but distant. She texts slower. She reschedules plans. And James is confused. I've been nothing but generous, he thinks. Why is she pulling away? Here's why. When you lead with money, you change the dynamic. You stop being a man she's attracted to, and you become a resource. You shift the energy from romance to transaction. You teach her without saying a word that you're not confident enough to let your personality speak first, and that kills desire. Stoicism teaches us to detach from externals. Epictetus said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. That applies here too. You don't need to flash anything. You don't need to buy anything. What makes you valuable isn't what you own, it's how you make her feel without spending a dime. James didn't need to buy a spa trip. He needed to stay present. He needed to let her invest emotionally, not just enjoy the perks. And most of all, he needed to see if she was even into him, not the lifestyle. Because here's the reality. The wrong woman will eat up your time, money, and attention. And the right woman will be turned off the moment she senses you're trying to buy her interest. Now, generosity isn't the enemy. A thoughtful gesture, a nice dinner, those things are fine, but only when they come from overflow, not anxiety. If the G. If is doing the talking, it means you're not. If the bill is building the bond, it means there is none. You want a woman to lean in because of your energy, not your credit score. You want her to feel pulled toward you, not paid into your company. So ask yourself this: are you giving because you want to give, or are you spending because you're afraid to just be? If you've made this mistake before, don't beat yourself up. A lot of good men have. But now it's time to stop trying to purchase presents. Own your value, lead with your energy, let your money take the back seat. If you've ever caught yourself doing this, drop a comment below, type, "I've done this." Because up next, we're talking about a different kind of trap, one that feels noble but still ruins your shot. Trying to guide her like a mentor, and trust me, she didn't come looking for a coach. Let's keep going. Number 4, drop the mentor mask. A lot of older men think, drop the mentor mask. They're being helpful. They show up with advice. They offer guidance, perspective, lessons from life. And on the surface, it seems harmless, noble even. But here's the truth. When you start acting like a mentor, she stops seeing you as a man. You're not her teacher. You're not her career coach. And the moment you start over-explaining, over-directing, or over-helping, you shift the dynamic from attraction to instruction. And trust me, no one wants to sleep with their professor. You might think you're showing value. You might believe, I've lived through more, I'm just sharing what I've learned. But if she didn't ask for your input, if she didn't invite your opinion, what you're doing is signaling control, and control never feels. This is where Stoicism offers real clarity. Seneca said, the greatest remedy for anger is delay. And I'd say the greatest remedy for overstepping is silence. You don't need to comment on everything she says. You don't need to challenge her ideas to sound wise. You don't need to correct her every time she brings up something you already know. Let her speak. Let her be wrong. Let her figure it out. That's not weakness, it's strength. It shows that you trust her, that you don't need. Real connection isn't built through lectures, it's built through shared presence. Ask yourself this: are you listening to understand or waiting to insert knowledge? Are you trying to connect or trying to coach? The moment you stop needing to guide her, she'll lean in to follow you. And that's where real polarity lives. So, if you've been the guy who always has something to say, if you've caught yourself turning every conversation into a TED Talk, it's time to drop the mentor mask. Let her experience you, not your expertise. And hey, if you've made this mistake before, you're not alone. A lot of men have confused value with verbal dominance, but there's another way. That's why I've created exclusive members-only content that goes deeper into Stoic-based masculine energy and relationship dynamics. If this kind of insight is resonating with you and you want the unfiltered version of what really works, consider becoming a channel member today. We go beyond the surface. We cover mindset, attraction, self-command, boundaries, everything they don't teach you growing up as a man. And it's built specifically for guys like you who've lived, who've learned, and who are ready to move differently. You'll find the join button below this video. No pressure, just real value if you're ready for it. And if you've ever been stuck in this mentor trap, drop a comment. Let me know by typing, "I've done this too," because in the next part we're shifting gears. We're talking about what happens when a man tries too hard to stay young and how that effort actually pushes her further away. Let's keep going. Number 5, be mature, not desperate. There's a fine P5, be mature, not desperate line between showing interest and leaking desperation. And younger women, they spot that line instantly. You might think you're being open. You might think you're showing her that you're ready, that you're serious, that you care. But to her, it can feel heavy, off almost, like a performance. Let's walk through this with a real-life example. There's Mark. He's 49, runs a landscaping business in Arizona. He's active, eats clean, stays fit. He's dating Jenna, Ventwheat. They matched on Hinge, hit it off quick. She loves his calm energy at first. But by date 3, things shift. Mark starts texting too often, long paragraphs, check-ins that feel more like checklists. Did you get home okay? Are you still thinking about me? Just wondering where I stand. Jenna starts pulling back. She doesn't reply for a day, says she's busy. And Mark, sensing the distance, leans in even more, plans, more dates, offers to help with errands, buys her little gifts. From the outside, it looks like kindness, but from Jenna's perspective, it feels needy. That's the difference between maturity and desperation. Maturity is rooted, it waits, it observes, Desperation chases. It fills silence with noise. It creates pressure because it needs something from her to feel okay. And that's not attractive. Here's the hard truth. When you try too hard to show that you're different from younger guys, more stable, more committed, more emotionally available, you can end up overplaying your hand. You shift from man to nice guy. And nice, when it comes from fear, kills desire. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." I apply that here. The best way to be unlike immature men isn't to overcompensate. It's to embody calm, sovereign, masculine energy, not flinching when she pulls back, not texting when you feel anxious, not begging for attention just because the pace changed. That's maturity. It's in how you respond when she's quiet. It's in how you hold your line without being cold. It's in how you offer presence, not pressure. Mark didn't need to text every day. He didn't know he to ask where he stood. He needed to trust that what they were building had room to breathe. But because he got nervous, he collapsed into action. And action, when it comes from fear, always makes. Ever found yourself overreaching? If you felt that urge to prove you're good enough, if you've chased just a little too hard, you're not alone. But here's the shift. Instead of asking, "What can I do to keep her interested?" ask, "Am I showing up as someone who respects his own energy?" Because when you move from that place, you don't need constant reassurance. You don't need to overperform. You just are. If this hits home, let me know in the comments. Type, "I've been there." And next, we're diving into something even more subtle. The one behavior that feels like emotional honesty, but actually pushes her away. Oversharing. Let's keep going. Number 6, kill the roommate talk. Let's kill the resume talk. Talk about a habit that's so subtle, most men don't even realize they're doing it. You're on a date. You want to make a good impression. So you start listing your accomplishments, where you've worked, what you've built, how well you've done for yourself. You're not bragging, you're just sharing. You think you're showing her that you're capable, that you've got your life together, but from her perspective, it sounds like a job interview, and nobody's getting turned on at a job interview. You start stacking your resume in the middle of a date, and something shifts. You stop being a man she's curious about, and you become a man trying to prove himself. That's not attractive, that's insecure. Here's the truth. When you talk too much about what you've done, you're not actually connecting, you're broadcasting. And most women, especially younger women, are not interested in your resume. They're interested in how you feel about your life. They're watching how you carry your success, not just the fact that you have it. Is it calm? Is it grounded? Is it integra? Ted? Or are you dangling it like a prize, hoping to earn her approval? Stoicism teaches us that external achievements are never the measure of the man. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." That means you don't have to say you're successful. You don't have to convince her that you've arrived. You just have to be the man who's clearly done the work without pointing at it every 5 minutes. Because here's what happens when you stop Ray talking. She gets to relax. She gets to see you, not your bullet points. She gets to feel your presence, not just hear about your past. And that shift, that's where attraction lives. When you show up without needing to list your wins, you communicate confidence. When you ask her about her world instead of reciting your timeline, you create space. And when you speak with simplicity without trying to impress, you leave room for curiosity. The goal is not to hide your story. It's to share it naturally in context when it actually matters. If she asks what you do, tell her. If a story fits the moment, share it. But don't turn your date into a biography reading, because when you do, it signals one thing clearly. You're trying too hard to be chosen. Women don't want to be pitched. They want to feel, they want to laugh, they want to sit across from a man who's so settled in himself. He doesn't need validation from anyone, especially not on the first date. And the irony, the less you talk about what you've done, the more she'll lean in to find out. You become a mystery, not a brochure. So if you've caught yourself listing titles, awards, how much you've made or how far you've come, catch yourself, breathe, and say less. You're not here to get hired. You're here to be felt. This is what separates boys from men. Not the achievements, but the silence behind them. As Epictetus reminds us, if you want to IMP, rove. Be content to be thought foolish and stupid, not because you are, but because you're no longer playing for APRO. Let that sink in. And if you've ever slipped into Rome mode, trying to prove, explain, or perform, let me know in the comments. Type, I've done that. Coming up next, we're getting into one of the most important shifts a man can make. Not chasing her attention, but commanding it. Let's keep going. Number 7, lead 7. Lead with presence, with presence. Women don't follow words, they follow energy. And presence is energy they can feel. Most older men get this wrong. They try to lead with logic, long conversations, plans. They try to impress with structure and direction, thinking that's what leadership island. But younger women, they read you in the first 5 seconds. And what they're scanning for isn't what you say. It's how you hold yourself, how you are. Let's take a real example. Derek, 52, lives in Austin, divorced 5 years ago, solid job, runs a boutique architecture firm. He recently met a woman named Kyla, 30 bartender, sharp, witty, stunning. Their first conversation, magic, chemistry, was real. But by the 3rd date, things started to shift. Derek began explaining too much his goals, his vision, how relationships should be. He talked a lot, but he stopped being with her. He wasn't listening as much, he wasn't watching her cues, her body language, her vibe. He was in his head, focused on how he was coming across. Kyla felt it. The connection went flat. She said, "You seem like a great guy, but I just don't feel that spark anymore." That spark wasn't missing because Derek changed who he was. It was missing because he stepped out of his presence. Presence is the opposite of overthinking. It's not about saying the right thing, it's about saying it from the right place. A man with presence doesn't need to rush to fill silence. He doesn't fidget or over-explain. He doesn't try to convince. He leads with stillness, with calm, with grounded certainty. And when he speaks, every word curry is weight because it's coming from essence, not performance. There's a reason Stoic men are so powerful. They cultivate this from within. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. That's presence. And when a woman feels that, she doesn't resist it. She leans into it. Women follow energy that makes them feel held, not managed. And presence is what makes her feel held. So how do you lead with presence? First, get out of your head. Stop planning the next thing to say. Instead, lock in on her, not with tension, but with attention. Second, slow down. Let your voice drop into your body. Stop rushing. Stop apologizing. Speak with rhythm, not speed. Third, stay grounded in your own worth. Whether she's impressed or indifferent, stay the same. Don't let her reaction dictate your vibe. Derek realized this the hard way. After things fizzled with Kyla, he watched back a voice memo he'd made from their 2nd date. He didn't sound confident. He sounded like he was trying. And that's the key. Presence isn't about doing, it's about being. So, if you've ever noticed a woman pulling away, even when the conversation seems great, chances are she's not reacting to your words, she's reacting to your energy. And if your energy is off, if it's rushed, anxious, eager, she feels that in her body. But when you lead with presence, you become the grounding force in the room. You become the man she wants to lean toward. So, check yourself. Next, time you're on a date, are you trying to manage the moment or are you letting it unfold? If this part hit home for you, drop a comment. Type, "I've seen this." In the next part, we're going to talk about attraction on a much deeper level and how some men lose it, not because they lack charm, but because they reject polarity. Let's keep moving. Make her feel safe. Number 8, make her feel safe. If there's one thing younger women pick up on instantly, it's whether or not they feel safe around you. And no, this isn't just about physical safety. This is about emotional and psychological safety. It's
about energie. How kan beses vertel weldreset financiële stable? Bid of our presense veel shout het in predictable or disparator se wond veel safe. And wenn a woman doesn't feel safe, se can't filter net, on hier is te trek apart most men don't realize when tere creating that tension. Ty tank tere bang passionate et pressive or open. Bid inderniate et al teres pressure a silent niet voor validation, a simple pillow voor approval. An energie dat size in niet uit to likeme. That's not safety. That's insecurity in disguise, women don't need out to be perfect. They don't even need out to have it all figure it out. But they need to feel that, our emotionally self-contained, that our not reading on their response to feel good about herself. This is weer Stoicism bekomen our secret weapon. It teaches that the only thing within our control is our response, not her reaction, not her mood, not the outcome. Epictetus said it best, it's not what happens to how but how I react to it that matters. If supples away a little, I don't chase. If sis and sire, I stay grounded. If se tests I with the silence or sarcasm, I don't flinch. How hold our center? Dat richtere is what makes her feel safer. Not because our trying to fit anything, but because se can see our not gewoon aanwijere mentale. Our stiade. Hier is de mistake manne older men make when dating anger women. They confuse intensiteit with the sonnestion. They think dat being overly transparent, deeply emotional, or jaard ons leven wil buil trust. But often it just overwhelms her, it makes her feel like se has to manage our emotion. Nul state. Nof ses not in haar feminine. Ses in defense. And polariteit is richtere. Making her feel safe means how give her the freedom to be soft because our solid. How give her room to be playful because our not trying to. Control the moment. It's subtle but it's everything. It's the difference between saying, I really hope oulike me versus holding eie, contact with the galm and saying, I enjoy our company. No pressure, just presence. When a woman feels safe, her body relaxes. Here haar drops. She opens not because she is convinced but because she is comfortable. This is weer a real connection liefes. Not in wat ou say but in the space between ou and her that feels vrye of niet, vrye of anxiety. So hoef toe ou buil dat kind of energie. Ou take responsibiliteit voor our nervous system. Ou sloof doven our speech. Ou breathe dieper. Ou stop rissing te interaction. And ou trust dat oure enouge as ou stop leaking energie trou genedienis. How stop adjusting our personality to match hash. How stop asking for reassurance in disguised advice. And most importantly, how remember how are not here to be chosen. How are here to observe, to experience, and to decide as much as say, is land. That's masculine containment. That's what creates safety. And that's what draws a woman in, especially one woes is it to men who talk big bit voelt vast. If any part of this felt like a mirror, let me know in the comments. Type I felt that way. In the next section we're going to bring it all together. We're going to talk about what actually makes our unforgettable to a younger woman and why it has nothing to do with looks, money or charm. Let's keep going. Number 9 sta in our frame. 9 sta in our frame. Let me tell how something that separates attractive older men from every other guy in the room. They don't chase energy. They hold their oven. They stay in their frame. What does that mean? It means how have a clear sense of who are our standards, our values, our emotional rhythm, and how don't abandon it just because a younger woman enters the picture. Oragon hardworking the red. And no nonsense. He recently started seeing Tessa, a 29-year-old personal trainer he met at his home. At first things were smooth, flirty, simple. But as soon as Jason started really looking. He shifted. He began adjusting his opinions to match hers. He pretended to enjoy misses and movies like it, even though he didn't. He started dressing anger, taking more friendly, trying to match her energy. Little by little, his frame collapsed. And guess what happened? Tessa pulled away. She didn't feel net off because Jason was older. She felt net off because he stopped buying himself. Hier is de hartritte, when ou give op our frame to place sumune, ou stop buying attractive. Hou bekome bendable. And notenkels polarity vaster dan a man wo gaan hold his center. Hunger women aren't er net of by age. Tere er net of by men wo abandonteir etje. Wen ou stai en ou frame, ou leed without needing control. Hou set te tone of de interaction. Hou don't over het lijn, over apologiese or overreact. Hou speak witte, calm. Hou move witte intent. Hou respond instead of react. And most importantly, oure not afraid to lose her. Taats de part most mens terugle witte. Ty want to belik het so badly dat ty abandon tyr values, tyr boundaries, tyr presence. Bid Stoicism teaches is to stand firm, especially in discomfort, Marius Aurelius Brote, ou have power over our mind, not outside the events, realities and ou will find strength. Staying in our frame doesn't mean ou don't care. It means ou care without attachment. Jason finally got it after a 5 months after Tessa pulled it away. He took a step back and realized had morphed it into a softer, filtered version of himself that wasn't who he wanted to be. So he stopped chasing. He went back to his rhythm, his life, his voetjes. And know wat? Tessa texted him 2 weeks later. Hy ou verbeen kyk, mis talking to how bechouse se cult feel his center again. Women are our frame altyd time. Telo disagree yes to see if ou fault. Telo pull back to see if ou chase. Telo fleur. Twitte chase to see if ou can hold calm. It's not mean. It's not manipulation. It's biological. Tere looking for safety, strength, solidity. And when ou stay in our frame, ou bekome dat. So net, time ou attempted to sift wo how are to keep her interest. Don't let her come to ou. Let her feel our foundation, let her realize that our not moving for anyone because our frame isn't built on approval. If they story witte, Jason het home, let me knop in te comments. Type if doen dat. And in the final part, we're going to wrap this all up with the one shift that turns our from an option into a presence you can't forget. Let's finish strong. Number 10. Sedige witte stillness. Silence isn't absence. Stillness isn't 10. Sedige witte stillness. Passiviteit. In te is of a anger woman stillness is power. Ante man wo knofshof tussen diete with the stillness doesn't need to prove, perform or pursue. By this point in the video, over probably realize something. Attraction isn't about the moves ou make. It's about the energy ou hold. And nothing speaks louder than a man who can sit in the moment, calm, grounded, completely inzaken. That's the kind of presence that turns heads without trying. But here is the paradox, most older guys think seduction is about action. They overcompensate talking, more doing more, trying harder, and in the process they give away their frame, their mastery, their pill. Stillness on the other hand creates space. It makes her lean in. It makes her feel how, not just see how. Imagine walking into a room. 2 men are standing there. One is animated, smelling weed, cracking jokes, bouncing from topic to topic. The other is calm, quiet. He doesn't say much but when he does, everyone listens. Which one holds more power? The answer is clear. Stillness communicates self-control. It tells her you don't need our attention is stillness. Amma. Nevo's not chasing, a man who lets the silence stretch and doesn't flinch. A man who isn't afraid of a pause, that pause, it's magnetic. It creates a rhythm says to adjust to it's not.
His job to speed up for her. It's her instinct to slow down for him. This is where seduction stops being verbal and becomes energetic. Think of it like music. The most powerful songs aren't non-stop noise. They breathe. They rise and fall. They have space between the notes. Stillness is that space. It's the moment where feeling happens. When you're constantly filling the space with words, compliments, reassurance, you rob her of the chance to feel. But when you're still really still, she gets to sit in the mystery. She wonders what you're thinking, she feels your attention without needing your words. And that's what makes her curious. That's what pulls her in. Stoicism gives us the foundation for this. It teaches that emotional regulation is strength, that presence is a form of discipline. As Seneca put it, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality, meaning when we sit in stillness, our minds may want to panic, fill, fix. But true, strength is sitting through that discomfort without breaking character, because that character grounded, composed, minimal, that's who she trusts, that's who she desires, that's who stands out in a world of noise. So, how do you cultivate seductive stillness? Start by noticing your body. Do you fidget when she's quiet? Do you rush to reply when there's a pause? Do you feel like you need to entertain her? If so, stop. Let the silence be. Let your breath slow down. Let your gaze hold steady. When you say something, say it once. Say it slow. Say it from your chest, not your throat. Then let it land. Don't follow it up with a nervous chuckle or a backpedal. Let it hang. That silence will do more than a dozen compliments ever could. And the best part, you don't have to do anything. You just have to stop interfering with your own gravity. Because the truth is, seduction isn't about being loud. It's about being undeniable. And the man who can sit in stillness without folding, without fidgeting, without needing her reaction, that man, she remembers him, she feels him, and she wants more. So now you know conclusion. It's not your age that turns her off. It's the habits you bring with it. When you stop worshipping, stop chasing, and stop performing. When you own your maturity instead of masking it. When you stay grounded, present, and still, you don't just become more attractive. You become unforgettable. Younger women aren't looking for a man who fits their world. They're looking for a man anchored in his own. And that man, that can be you. If you want to go deeper into mastering Stoic attraction, presence, and emotional control, join the members area. We dive into advanced strategies, real-time breakdowns, and behind-the-scenes insights I don't share anywhere else. And if you got value from this video, subscribe to the channel. This space is for men who are done playing games and ready to lead with grounded strength. Thanks for watching.